Today we're talking about what? Blocking calls. Hello, my name is Karen Sims and this is Twisted Threads, and you joined us for our Reflections of Purpose. Today's title, we try to get right into it, blocking calls. That's right, call blocking. We want to talk a little bit today about the importance of blocking calls. And why is it important? Well, because you got to protect yourself. And I know a lot of times we might be blocking calls from bill collectors. I'm not going to say anything on that one, but it happens. We might be blocking calls from ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends. We might be blocking calls from just people who have been stalkers in our life. We might be blocking calls from those folks who we know are time stealers, and they're going to have us on the line for about an hour talking about nothing. Now, look, we all have to take time to catch up and fellowship with our friends and making sure that we are all keeping up the breast with what's going on in each other's lives. Why? Because we want people to do that for us, so we've got to extend ourselves and do that for other people. But when it comes to blocking calls, the purpose for it is literally what? To kind of put a block on the play. I love it because as a mom of 5, I had 4 boys, and so we were football all the time. We did nothing else but football for probably about 10 years. And I love it because my middle son, who is probably, he's just a great football player in my mind. And as it came time to teach him, it was one of the lessons that he'll tell people, I learned how to tackle from my mom, and so I told him what to do. It's like, look, you cut them at the legs. Why? Because they can't run. The purpose of defense when you're playing football is just to stop the play. Now, I know my son would be very aggressive and they'd be like, rah! And they'd be like, okay, calm down. We're just trying to end the play. We're not trying to put anybody in the hospital. We're not trying to physically harm anybody. We just need to end the play. This is what blocking calls allows you to do. So I usually have to remind him of that, cut him at the knees. Why? Because you ain't going nowhere with half of you. But it's also an opportunity for us to understand that there are certain people who, they still have a place in our life, but we need to have boundaries around how much access they're going to have into our lives. And so with the blocking of the calls, you get the opportunity to say every call that they make, is going to voicemail, will not be answered. Like, you literally get the opportunity to say, what is the role that each person in your life going to play? Seems easy, right? Yeah. Well, for many of us, we don't think about the reasons why we need to block the calls. So we talked about, you got to protect your gift. The gifts that are inside of you, some of us are very sensitive when it comes to certain things that people talk about. I know kind of my Achilles heel is any conversations concerning my children or grandchildren. Now, look, there are a lot of us and I get it, but there are certain things that there's sort of like that sacred family space that I'll be like, okay, you about to say what? About who? My kid? Oh, okay. And so I know that that's an area that I need to work on, because sometimes it's actually constructive criticism. How many out there of you are kind of that way? It's like, well, we were good until, you started telling me something about my husband or about my man or about my lady. We get very defensive in certain areas. But it's okay for you to protect your gift, to protect the things that are closest to you. It's okay as well for blocking the call so that you protect your sanity. If you know you got that crazy cousin that's going to call you with another, get rich quick scheme, and you're like, I just do not have time for this one today. What? Call blocked, no problem. You get back to them whenever you can, but it doesn't mean that they get the access to kind of turn your world topsy-turvy whenever they want to. Look, it's a great thing to understand that we get to, as adults, direct our own lives. We get to direct the things that we say yes to. We get to direct the things that we say no to. I often say no is a complete sentence. And I'm down with it until somebody says no to me, and then I'm rethinking that whole thing there. But it is a full sentence. No. We should try it. Let's do that together. No. No. And not no with an excuse. Well, no, because I don't have gas money, or no, because I'm going to be late for work, or no, because my husband said no, or no, because, my girlfriend don't like you. Hey, there are reasons. But just know. Because as adults, we don't have to make an excuse. If somebody wants to dig in deeper, you can let them in and say, well, hey, no. Are you going to be able to make it? Nope. There you go. That was the whole sentence. Now, if they want to inquire, they've crossed the threshold. So whatever information they get, they hopefully can handle it when you are truthful and honest with them. Look, you got to also block the calls to protect your destiny. There are so many different things that are around us to distract us. I love it because I've got many people to celebrate on my timeline on a daily basis. And one of the harder things that comes to mind is that when you see people celebrating success, sometimes it'll cause you to shrink back and be like, oh, you know what? They did it already. We got an author over here. This person has a second book. I don't want to do my book, or my book is not going to be as successful as their book, or they've got the. You gotta stop with the comparison. I love it because there's so many different ways that we could think of how our uniqueness brings light and love into the world. But when you start in that line of comparison, one of my kind of favorite right now gospel artist is Jonathan McReynolds, and he's got a song called Comparison Kills. Comparison kills. And it talks about in other third world countries, they're literally dying over stuff that we have every day, whereas we are killing ourselves mentally over jealousy, over getting in our own way, over comparing what we have to put into the world with somebody else's. Listen, I am loud. I'm energetic. I'm coming at you with all this energy because I need you to press play. But there are other people who are soft in their own corners, and they're talking to one person at a time. They're not even thinking about, a YouTube channel or subscribers. But look, they're still able to make an impact. They're still able to understand that blocking calls is necessary. Why? Because if we don't, then comparison sets in. That person, did you hear so-and-so did such and such? And maybe that'll knock you off your game. I love it because I was watching a show and it was talking about an artist who said he takes himself away from all outside things when he's in a creative sense because he doesn't want to be influenced by what other people are doing and then by mistake maybe bring over something else that somebody else is doing. How about that? Blocking calls keeps you focused on what it is that you need to do in your life. It's okay to protect yourself from outside things around you. It's also okay for you to say, here's the life I want to live. Here are the choices that I need to make for that. And here are the people that I like in my circle to have all access. Look, we're going to have and conversation in reference to what happens when you give people all access. That's not for everybody. That's not for the opportunity for people to have all access. But if you got those folks who are mentors, if you got those folks who literally pour into you in some really special ways, you got to think about how giving all access to a select few will benefit your life. But in the meantime, what? We're blocking calls. Look, it's very important for us to get these messages out and to remind you all to like and share these videos. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. But as always, you got to think about and take the time to reflect on the things that we're talking about. When we pick these topics and bring them to you, we want them to impact your life in a good way. Think about the people who you need to block their calls today. Pay the bills, but think on those people so that you can, in a year from now, be living the life that you really want to live. Be happy with the success that you are going to create in your life because of the decision that you made, to block the calls. Look, it is Twisted Threads. Glad you joined us for our Reflections of Purpose. As always, make it an amazing day.
Reflections of Purpose.